heaven prostrate. रहमान अल्लाह ताला ने कुरान की तालीम दी और उसने इंसान को पैदा किया और बोलना सिखाया। सूरज और चांद एक ही हिसाब के पाबंद हैं। तारे और दरख्त सब उसके आगे सजदा करते हैं। वस्समाअ रफ़अहा ववदअ अल-मीज़ान अल्ला तत्गऊ फ़िल मीज़ान वअक़ीमुल वज़्न बिल क़िस्ति वला तुख़्सिरुल मीज़ान। And the heaven he has imposed the balance, that you not misbehave within the balance, and justice in weight, and do not make deficient the balance. आसमान को उसने बुलंद किया और मीज़ान कहीं कर दी। इसका तकाज़ा ये है कि तुम मीज़ान में खलल न डालो, इंसाफ के साथ ठीक ठीक तोलो, तराजू में डंडी न मारो। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम। पाक सरज़मीं शादबाद, ईश्वरे हसीं शादबाद, तू शाने हन्ने आनी शान, हन्ने पाकिस्तान मरकज़े यकीन शादबाद। पाक सरज़मीं का निज़ाम, क़ुव्वते अवाम, क़ौमुल सल्तनत पाइंदा दरिंदाबाद, शादबाद मंज़रे मुराद। बरजमे सितारों यार, रहमरे तरक्कियों कमाल, तर्जुमाने माज़ी शाने हाल, जाने इस्तक़बाल, सारे खुदा ज़ुल्जलाल।
इतनी खूबसूरत किरत और नेशनल एंथम के साथ हमने आज का आगाज किया है अपनी कॉन्फ्रेंस का। अस्सलाम वालेकुम टू एवरीबॉडी, ऑल दोस पीपल हु आर वाचिंग अस ऑन Zoom एंड लाइव ऑन YouTube, और कुछ लोग हमें ज्वाइन करते जा रहे हैं। वी वेलकम यू ऑल ऑन बोर्ड। होपफुली वी आर गोइंग टू हैव अ फ्रूटफुल लर्निंग जर्नी, जो कि 18 दिन की जर्नी है, जो कि आज से शुरू हो रही है और आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ये चलेगी हमारी 18 दिन तक। आई नो बहुत सारे लोग इसको बहुत चैलेंजिंग एज्यूम कर रहे हैं, We have put in a lot of effort behind this, and I hope that we will be able to come up to your expectations. बहुत सारे लोगों की बहुत सारी expectation जुड़ी हुई है हमसे. सबसे पहले मैं वेलकम करना चाहूंगी हमारे सारे ट्रेनर्स जो कि ऑन बोर्ड हुए हैं, हमारे सारे के सारे एजुकेशनिस्ट जो हमारे साथ ऑन बोर्ड हुए हैं, बहुत सारे टीचर्स. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अभी तक भी हमारे पास 1000+ रजिस्ट्रेशंस हैं. सो वी आर होपिंग कि अगेन कि हम आपकी एक्सपेक्टेशन में पूरा उतरें और आपके लिए एक ऐसा लर्निंग जर्नी लेकर आए जो कि आपको हमेशा याद रहे. So I welcome all my fellow educationists. I welcome all my fellow educators जो कि इस फील्ड में काम कर रहे हैं. Big time salute to all of you. Hats off to all your hard work. थोड़ा सा मैं अपने इस जर्नी को भी डिफाइन करना चाहूंगी जो कि हम पिछले 3 साल से ये तीसरा साल है हमारा जो हमने शुरू किया था 3 साल पहले एजुनेक्स्ट वन स्टेप ई कन्वेंशन के नाम से, और फिर सेकंड हमारा था जो कि एजुनेक्स्ट 3.0, और ये हमारा थर्ड है एजुनेक्स्ट एजुकेशन ऑफ थिंग्स. बहुत डिटेल स्टोरी है, लेकिन आज इस डिटेल स्टोरी का टाइम नहीं है. आज हम यहाँ पर आए हैं आपके सामने की नोट स्पीच लेके, एंड आई वुड लाइक टू वेलकम माय गेस्ट ऑन बोर्ड ओवर हियर, Dr. Kani Messenger. She's already here, so let's welcome her. Hello, Kani. You're muted. We can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself. Oh, you can't unmute yourself. Wait. Okay, got it. Let me.
Hi there. Good morning.
Hi, how are you, Kani?
I'm well, thank you. How are you this morning?
Good, very good. We were just introducing that this particular concept began 3 years back, and you had been part of the journey since the very beginning. This is our third year for this same conference, and we have changed the concept, we have changed the brief here, but yes, the purpose is still the same, that we need to take education to the next level. So I really welcome you on board, and thank you so much for giving us your time, your precious time, and with all the busy schedules that you have, you've taken out time and you're here. Thank you so much, Kani. And that gives us a stage to get started. Kani, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm feeling incredibly humbled and grateful to be here. I know it is morning for me, and I know maybe for some of you, it may be afternoon or evening. Thank you guys for showing up and for joining today. And I'm just really humbled to be here, be of service, and be of support as best as I can. On that note, I will be getting started. The title of today's talk is Learning is Not Only in Our Heads, and I'm going to be speaking a little bit about the importance for experiential learning, practical-based learning, to really help our students ages 2 to 18 years old get as much as they can out of curriculum and teaching and learning. So on that note, I would like to start off with a little bit of a story. And the story starts off as there once was a young girl. She was about 4 or 5 years old. And when it came to learning how to read and write, she struggled. The letter P looked like the letter D. The word tomato sounded like the word potato, and she didn't really quite understand and get reading and writing from a very young age. As she got older, this little girl got placed into smaller reading and writing and math groups, still struggling with learning to read, learning to write when she's 8, 9, 10 years old, but pretty much going unnoticed, going through the different grades in school and just being told that she's not so smart and not so good at math, reading, just because she's just not good at it. As she got a little bit bigger, she's now about 13, 14 years old, and she is heading into high school, and she knows she's really good with her hands. She's able to build computers without being able to read the instructions. She is able to build chairs and tables and create things pretty well. But then when it's coming to that reading and that writing piece, she's still struggling. She's in high school at this point and she can read. She's reading through memorization, not through really being able to understand the sounds and the meaning of the words, until she realized when she's about 14, 15 years old that there needs to be another way. She's really smart. She's able to come up with ideas and content and questions and have really good, deep conversation. But when it comes to that reading and writing piece, just something is not adding up for this girl. So she figured out her own way to teach herself to read and write when she was about 13, 14, 15 years old. Yet she still significantly struggled. And now at this point, she really struggled a lot with spelling. And when it came to being able to spell basic words and basic syllables, create basic sentence, understand basic grammar, she still really struggled. So when she was about 17 years old, very interested in heading into higher education, the principal and teachers at the school said, no, this is not something for you to do. You're not going to be successful with it. And this person, she was feeling incredibly upset and frustrated. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go to higher education, even if teachers are not believing with what I'm doing and what I'm interested in, that's okay. And I'm going to go and pursue higher education. So what does she do? She goes and she starts at basic reading, writing, math classes, works her way up slowly but surely. And she graduates at a 2-year college with one of the highest grades in her class. She continues and decides that she's interested in going to graduate school, in which she does, one of the youngest, and she graduates at 22 years old, achieving one of the highest degrees. So the reason why I share this story with you, there are so many girls and boys within the classes that we're teaching that are struggling exactly like this little girl in this story. They're struggling maybe with reading or with writing, and they may go unnoticed. And as the teachers, and as some of you guys might be therapists or parents, it's important to note those students that are struggling and to note, what are we saying to these students? What are we telling them? What messages are they hearing? Are they hearing that they're not so smart because they're struggling with reading or writing? What messages are they being told? And this is just an example of one student and one story. And I can say that there's students, hundreds, if not thousands of students that are struggling with reading, with writing, with math. And it's not necessarily because of the intellect. It might be because there might be something processing. Maybe there's a learning disability. Maybe there's dyslexia. Maybe there's ADHD. Maybe there's these other challenges that are coming up, but it's not making them any smart or any less than any other students in the class. And unfortunately, with this little girl and the little girl that I was describing, it was me. I was a little girl that really did struggle with learning reading and writing, and I was thankfully able to figure it out pretty much independently and on my own. And imagine if I didn't figure that out. Imagine if I didn't pursue higher education. Imagine if I didn't do the work that I did. I did the work that I did because I was incredibly motivated and determined. And there's other children that may not be. And these children think, I can't go to higher education. I can't be successful. I won't be successful. So we need to really, as best as we can with our students, cultivate learning that meets individual needs. So what do I mean by that? creating opportunities for experiential learning beyond like the didactic, the black and white, when it comes to reading or writing or math or science or really any subject for that matter. We know that in basic education, we're learning basic arithmetic. We're learning basic reading and writing and basic things when it comes to functional and foundational learning that we do need in order to be a successful individual in today's society. But I think that there's this missing piece. There's this point in which children are learning what to think, but they're not learning how to think. Children are learning foundation of math and science and reading and writing, yet they're not learning that application. How does it relate to my day-to-day life? How can I apply the basic arithmetic? How can I apply the basic spelling or the basic science into my day-to-day life? That application piece, I think, is something that's not quite there, and it's something that is a little bit missing. So what as teachers, what as parents, as therapists, what can we do to help? And I believe it goes to experiential learning. Before I go into more of that, I want to start with an example. So if we think, and I gave this example 3 years ago, and I want to re-give this example today. It's one thing, we're learning how to ride a bike, right? It's one thing to watch a friend or a family ride this bike. It's another thing to actually experience what it is like to ride that bike. My hands are on the handlebar, my feet are on the pedals. Every time the bike veers towards the right, I need to turn the wheel towards the left. Every time the wheel turns the left, I need to turn the wheel towards the right, and vice versa. If I'm watching a YouTube video, if I'm watching my friend or family member ride the bike, it's going to be very different than if I'm actually experiencing what it is like to ride that bike. And it's so too when it comes to learning. It's one thing to learn ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and it's another thing to actually experience it in real life. So what do I mean? And how can this potentially relate to real life? So let's say a student is learning they're learning reading, and they're, let's say, 5 or 6 years old. Rather than directly staying in the classroom, going to potentially the school library or the library within the community, allowing the student to go and explore the different books, and they can discern and decide, what books do I like? What books don't I like? Rather than the teacher just providing, okay, these are the books that we're going to read, and we're going to learn to do A, B, and C with this book. Another idea comes to mind with it in going out in the community and having a group of 5 or 10 kiddos in the class, and we're going out and we're going to look on the different storefronts, and we're going to look and see the different signs there. So we're bringing learning to life. Oh, this is the pizza store. Oh, this is the bakery. This is the butcher store. So we're giving students the opportunity to take that learning from the classroom, and we're bringing it to life into everyday application. And it leads me to the importance for practical and practical-based learning. Meaning, so what does that mean by that? So if, let's say, it's one thing, again, we're learning math or science or reading or writing, we're learning about, let's say, money. So it's one thing to have a math example. Sammy has $5 and he needs to be able to buy 5 apples that each cost like 15 cents. It's one thing to learn about like Sammy and the apples in like a word problem in the classroom. And it's another thing, why not create like a market in the classroom and create like a little buying experiment there, or going out again to the local grocery store and bringing that learning to life, offering the students the opportunity for that hands-on experience, because in their day-to-day life, they're going to most likely go to the grocery, go to the butcher, go to the bakery. They're going to need to go to these different spaces and these different places in order to be able to be a functional individual in the life as well. So it's important when we are teaching and when we are working with our students to offer the opportunity for that experiential type of learning, that practical based learning that is important and that is needed for day-to-day living and day-to-day life, learning about money management, time management, learning about what it's like to interact, social and emotional connection, learning about time for oneself, self-care these are all vital things. And within the typical traditional educational paradigm, students are really typically not having access or having the ability to do so, to learn about this. So these are the skills that are important. These are needed in order to be able to get a sense of who I am from the inside out, learning mindfulness meditation, learning how to be mindful, cultivate slowness when I'm walking, cultivate slowness when I'm eating, cultivate pause when I'm having big feelings or big emotions. And our educational system, unfortunately, is not having, pretty much for the most part, at least in the States, it's not really having that. And that, I think, it's what's lacking. Students are coming out of, let's say, elementary or high school, sometimes, unfortunately, very robotic, able to do basic stuff. But then when it comes to the thinking and the reasoning of how and the understanding piece, unfortunately, it is not there. So there needs to be more of that application. There needs to be more of that hands-on, while taking in consideration where the student is at and creating matching. So if a student is doing really well in one subject and another student is not doing really well in another subject, pairing them up so that the student that's doing really well to help the student that's not doing really well. And maybe with the area that the student is not doing well, the student that's doing really well in, that other student might be able to be of support in another way, because we each have different levels of intellect when it comes to math and science. And some students are really creative, and some students are really intuitive, and some students are really good with novel situations. So even if they might not be so good with math or science, the student may be really good with creativity and be really out of the box. So it's so important, as best as we can, to see and find the strength of our students so they can tap into that and grow within those skills, and to piggyback in other areas that might be not as strong for them. And it's the multiple intelligent piece, that we just don't have one or two intelligence. And unfortunately, within our school system, a lot of the times we're just focusing in on 2 or 3 intelligence, and we really have like 8, if not 10 intelligence. And if we're able to hone in and focus in on that, it can really significantly transform students' lives. Because when it comes down to it, learning is not in our head. There's a component and there's a part to it, yet we need different hands-on experiences. We need application, and we need experiential learning to really help hone in and to really help our students. And it leads me to another part within the school system, and it is technology. Technology, let's say we all have our tablets, we have our phones, we have our devices, we have our computers potentially. And technology, I believe, is something that is neutral. It's not good nor bad. The use of it can be used towards something good or towards something more negative, and towards something more, maybe quote unquote, a little bit bad. So what do I mean by that? Technology gives us access to the world at our fingertips. We are living like kings and queens with the amount of information that we have access to. 20, 30 years ago, we would not have access to the amount of information that we do have. Yet, if you think about you and I, were we ever taught in school how to use technology and the appropriateness of boundaries, of setting limits within myself, how long I'm going to be on my device, my computer, my tablet, my phone? Were we ever taught that? And a question, are we teaching our students how to do that? Are we teaching our students how to use technology to find information that is credible and not credible? Because not everything online is created equal. Some sources are amazing and spectacular and science-driven and evidence-based, and some of the information out there is really completely just fabricated and made up. Are we teaching our students how to differentiate between the two? Are we teaching them and showing them that we have access to the world at our fingertips? Yet, do they know how? Do we even really know how to use that technology and to use it in our classrooms, YouTube videos, maybe we're using Canvas, we're using Blackboard, we're having hybrid approach to our teaching. Are we using the technology that we have not only in our classroom, but also for ourselves? Are we able to access the information and know how to? Because I know for myself, sometimes when I'm looking up credible or incredible information, deciphering and figuring that out is important factors as well. So when it comes to technology, we have the world at our fingertips, and it's important to know, how am I using technology? How am I bringing it into the classroom? Am I teaching my students how to create boundaries with technologies? Am I teaching my students how to find credible, not credible sources? Am I using technology in the classroom as a way to enhance didactic, maybe black and white material that's being presented? And as teachers, as parents, as therapists, as providers, we all have the ability to bring learning to life, whether it's through experiential, whether it's through practical-based learning. We have the ability to offer hands-on approach. And one way might be to do that is the VARC learning style. I know that we have that in the States. It's having the students maybe taking a profile and to seeing what is their learning style. That is one way. Another way is being a little bit creative and thinking out of the box. And it doesn't really need to cost anything to be able to be creative and to bring that lesson, to bring that class to light. One thing that I find really helps is role playing, discussions, conversation, peer-based learning. These are all incredible ways to help take learning from the head and just bring it more into the classroom as conversation, as interaction, to really allow the students to become independent thinkers every age, every stage, depending on where they're at, to start to think, to start to question, to start to process, to start to really understand the information and the material that is being presented. So as a university professor for the past 5 years, and within the past 2 years working with research students, when I'm working with my students, I'm not so interested and so concerned if they're taking in all the information that's being presented. I'm not so concerned about them understanding everything to the T that I'm saying. I'm not so concerned if they're a little bit on their phone, or if they're a little bit having a conversation with their peer for a little small few moments during the session. I'm not so concerned about that whatsoever. What I am concerned about is, are my students cultivating this lifelong learning love for occupational therapy, this love for pediatric, this love for being of support and service of others, this love in the area of their passion? Maybe the area of passion is technology or assistive technology, or maybe it's adaptive living or activities of daily livings, or whatever it may be. Are they cultivating the lifelong learning love for their passion? That's what I'm concerned about. That's what I'm interested in. Yes, the information is important, and the skills and the skill level 110%. Yet are they going to take this information? Are they going to continue with their education past the classroom? So for younger students, are they going to continue their education in the summertime? Are they going to be maybe interested in higher education or vocational training or something like that? That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about that lifelong learning. I'm concerned more about the kindness and compassion and care that they're going to be radiating and going out into the world. That's what I'm concerned. I'm concerned about their mental health and their thinking and their empathy and their sympathy and their ability to just be with challenge and to cope. Those are things that I'm concerned. And yes, the learning and the material and the skills are important. Yet I think things that are utmost important is the social emotional, the compassion, the kindness, the service, the lifelong learning, being mindful, learning how to be in the right here, right now. In addition to all the other stuff, the importance for that lifelong learning piece as well. So when it comes to us teachers, when it comes to us parents, we have the ability to cultivate shifts, and we can start in our classroom. We can start speaking up that this is not working, and the way this is being presented is not working right here, right now, because every teacher, every child is one in a million, and we have the ability to shift the paradigm. And it starts with that one person speaking up, that one teacher, even when the going is tough and it's hard and it feels like you're climbing up a really, really big high mountain, noting that yes, every child is special, every child is unique, and they have their beauty. And just like as I started this talk today about this young girl who was really, really struggling, there's hundreds of thousands of girls and boys and students that are struggling. And as the teachers, as the parents, we have the ability to help them and to let them know that we got them and we will help them and they can do it, and we'll provide them with the support and the needs to be able to allow them to be successful. And it starts with each and every one of us taking one foot in front of the other, thinking about how can I be creative? How can I be out of the box? How can I offer practical, experiential type of learning with the information that I need to be presenting? On that note, I will be concluding, and I will be thanking each and every one of you guys for showing up. And if there are any questions or anything that are coming up, feel free to find me on social media, Khani Messinger on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, ChaniMessinger. And just really humbled and grateful. I work one-on-one with parents that have kids of different needs and different abilities, 0 to about 12 years old. I work directly with teachers and consultations, often ideas and suggestions to help us with the students, especially maybe some of the students that are perceived as the most difficult or the most challenging student. Those are the students that I'm like humbled and really do appreciate working with. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Hani, for such an insightful talk to begin the conference. And I really appreciate when you did mention about that we have a lot of information available on the internet, but we do not know how to filter it. And this is something that we do not even teach our children to filter this information, because all that information that is available on the internet may and may not be right, and may not be useful for what we are trying to use it for. And it's a big time need to filter that to be able to use it in a right and appropriate way. And there were a lot of other things that you did mention which were very important, pertaining to the needs of the children. We need to understand, we need to come down to their level, and we need to bring them further up, pace them up to fit into the society, because education overall is about making a better society. So that was such a brilliant start. We are really looking forward to take questions from anybody who's here on YouTube. There's a number of people watching us on YouTube, and there are a number of people watching us here on Zoom. So yes, any questions, we are reading both the platforms. So if you have any questions, please put it up. We'll be happy to take it. We'll be happy to respond back to it. Yes. So how is your experience, Khani, again on this platform?
Working remotely, or I'm not quite
Yes.
sure.
Working remotely, reaching out people around the world, because this is like, we have registrations from around like more than 90 states. So how does it feel like to be part of this conference?
It feels really humbling and so beautiful. And this is an example of the positive use of technology. Like, the world is at our fingertip, and our ability to connect with people that is all over the world is just really brilliant and really, really inspiring. So I'm just so humbled to be a part of the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for appreciating our effort. We are trying to reach out to the maximum audience. And yes, as it is committed, it is going to be free for all educators around. Whoever has registered is going to get free access to all the trainings. We have more than 30 plus trainings. We have some gifts, some prizes, some certificates. Everything is just free of cost for all educators, because the purpose is only reaching out the grassroots level and making sure that we are able to take education to the next level, because this is not something that we need to be paying for, at least not for teachers, not for those who are already into this field and already striving and putting up their effort together to make a better tomorrow. So yes, this is all for you, for all the educators, for all the educationists. Hope you're going to enjoy yourself. Thank you so much, Kani, for joining us over here and giving us such an insightful start. I hope that's going to add up to the energy to all the community right over here and help us move in the right direction, in the right way. Yes, I would take one lead from Kani over here, wherein I am going to share some details about how to filter information on the internet. So I promise by the end of the conference, I'll make it a point that this information is communicated as to how to filter the information on the internet so that we are able to convey the same point over to the coming generation, and we make things better and better every day. Thank you so much, Hani. I'm so obliged that you're here and you have gave us a really good start here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just so humbled. I'm seeing all the comments come in. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for what you've created. I've seen over the last 3 years how it's significantly expanded, and it's your beautiful, incredible hard work. So kudos for you for being such a bright, shining star and just stepping into your power and sending this message. So congratulations to you, and utmost thank you to you.
Thank you so much, Hani, but I won't take this entire credit on myself because I have a huge team working alongside with me. They're all educators, and not to forget any name. I don't want to name anybody, otherwise I would forget somebody or the other, but yes, let me try doing that too. I have Farah Musharraf with me. I have a huge team over here, which includes Rashida, Shahina, Fatima. We have a lot of other people, actually, a lot of other people. Yes, we have Shazia on board. We have, a number of trainers, including Sabah. We have brilliant trainers on board who are going to be delivering their trainings starting from this weekend on. So yes, there are a lot of people. It's a teamwork. I know I forgot, I have not taken all the names, but yes, my love is to all the people who are part of this Edunext. So yes, and all those who are working behind the scene as well. There are a lot of the people working behind the scene, wherein somebody is providing technical support. We have conference coordinators, we have masters of ceremony, we have a lot of people actually on board. So yes, thank you to the entire team. This appreciation from Kani is for the entire team. Thank you so much. And all the educators, of course, who are being part of this conference. Without them, it was not possible. So yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kani. And
you're welcome. I wonder, is there a certain question that's coming up for you? I wonder. I'm not really.
I can see a lot of appreciation. Yes, we remember EOP as well and Silver Lining for being part of this conference as well. There are people who are commenting and telling us that we are there, we want to be there. So yes, you're all there. Do connect with me. अगर आप में से कोई ऐसा भी है जो कि इसका हिस्सा बनना चाहता है, do connect with us. We are always welcoming. And I don't want to switch code because Kani won't be able to understand. So yes,
I see a question here. How can we identify different types of intelligence in multiple classes? As most of us belong to private sectors, and in these institutes, our lectures are not permanent, and administrator continuously changes our classes. I think that's a brilliant question, and it's something that as a teacher, like I have certain curriculum that I also need to go by, and there's administration things. So it's not so clear cut of what I'm teaching or what I'm not teaching. So it can get a little bit distorted. So that question really resonates with me. So the question is how can I incorporate like different multiple intelligence within my classroom while at the same time keeping in mind that there is administrational changes that are happening as well? So I would say one thing that I recommended is I wonder VARC learning, first off, is knowing what is your student's learning style. That's number one, and trying to incorporate within that lesson different types of learning. So if there's an option of tactile, if there's an option for case studies, if there's an option for discussions, and options for role playing, if there's options for peer-based learning, if there's an option of with the class of what you're teaching to going out and maybe just being in nature for a little bit, if it's not too cold of the day and you have access to that, it's like shifting and giving that opportunity in different spaces, different locations, and using different modalities such as discussion, peer-based learning, role-playing, tactile, if that's feasible. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. Maybe online discussions, YouTube is like using that to target the different multiple intelligence. I think that's a key thing. And even if administration, yes, they're going to have changes or shifts, but you still have your key modalities and things that you're working and you're utilizing with your students.
And we will be touching upon a number of teaching strategies otherwise as well. And you would find some of the teaching strategies or some teaching approaches on my channel as well. So you can always be looking into it, and you can get a insight on how to apply these strategies into your classroom. It will definitely help you. So yes, Kani has picked it really well that you need to figure out what variety of options can you provide to the child to be able to reach to its need.
What I think a question that I typically get asked, and I wonder if it's okay if I ask the question and I answer the question. It's my student is not sitting still. They are out and about. They're really struggling to sit still in the classroom, and I don't know what to do. That's a question that I'm often asked. So I would like to address that question. So typically when we're thinking about students sitting and learning, typically they're sitting at a table and a chair, and that's the typical traditional way that they're learning. But I beg to say, and I've done this in my class as well with my university students, do they really need to be sitting at a table and a chair? Can some students, if they're learning better, can they be standing? Can they be sitting on a cushion? If need be, can they be, if they're younger students and they're really, really struggling, and if there's maybe some type of sensory need, can you let them be working under the table or laying on a mat in the classroom or sitting on their belly on the floor or sitting on a bouncy ball? I beg to shift that a little bit, especially for the younger students. Do they really need to be sitting at that table and chair? And the answer is typically most of the time, no, depending on what they're learning. And if it's related to religion or secular, not secular, if it's relating to prayer, then there's usually, okay, we're not going to have them do any silliness or things. But yet when it's related to maybe more secular classes or secular things, why do they really need to be sitting at a table and a chair? Can they be doing it in an alternative way of a bouncy ball, laying on the floor, laying on their belly with a blanket or something like that, so that they're better connected and more comfortable? Because some kids need a little bit that sensory input so that they can be able to, attend with what they're being presented.
I think, Kani, why we are more confining ourselves to sitting onto the table and chair is because we think that's discipline.
Right. Right, 100%. It's the kid is in this space and the kid is sitting here, and they're going to need this for when they're going into middle school, high school, elementary. So they need to stay and they need to learn this now. And it's to a certain degree, yes, but then we have the ability to shift it a little bit with alternatives.
And it's humanly not possible. It's not even possible for us to sit for that long on one seat
Yes.
and one chair. So why are we expecting it to be happening from the child?
100%. And the other day, a family member was getting some type of evaluation and testing. And I asked my cousin, I was how long was the testing? 3 hours and I'll just shift the age. The child is 12 years old, 3 hours evaluation and testing.
Yes.
3 hours. And we think about you and I, and we've been sitting for maybe about 35 minutes. And I'm ready to do some weightlifting or something. So for these little kids, we're what's going on here? We're having them sit for 30 minutes, an hour, or they're doing an evaluation. It's not to say that she didn't have any breaks, but what's going on here? And then we're wondering, within the States, 1 in about 6 kids have an anxiety disorder. And that was pre-COVID. I'm not sure what the statistics is now, but then we're wondering what's going on and why are kids so antsy and having so much anxiety? We wonder this. And then if we think about, yes, the school system and the sitting and the academics and the standardization, and then if we also think about the home environment and the food environment on top of that, and then we wonder. And then I think it's just an example of how we really are failing our students. We are really not giving what is needed for our students, and it's a problem. It's a really, really, really big problem, and I think it's a preventable problem. I think we have the ability to shift that and to work with that to really better help them, and for whatever reason the system is not doing that. And I think administration, not to blame, not to fault, but I think things are like used to being how it was, and it's like hard to shift, hard to change, hard to shift, hard to change. It's almost like it's better to stay in that comfort piece and not to blame. I know teachers, I know as a teacher, we do the best that we can. I know administration are doing the best that we can. I don't want to label or point or say negativity, but yet at the same time, there has to be a change at every level.
That there was one strategy that we always keep on sharing with teachers as well: brain breaks.
Yes.
Brain breaks. That's after every 30 to 40 minutes that you need to give them a brain break, wherein you can have a physical exercise, you can have them have water, you can have them go out and have air. So that's a slight change which activates the brain and it gets the brain working again. So yes, monotony, it breaks the monotony of the classroom and it gives you a small break to get you charged again all over and get you started all over again. There is one more question over here. What do you do with the pressure of completing the syllabus before the deadline? How do you cater for the struggling students that would need more time?
That's a very, very good question. So there's two parts to the question. So what do you do if you're don't have enough time to present the syllabus? You do it the next class and you tell the students there's not enough time and I'm sorry, and we'll do it the next class. And then in terms of how do I help the failing or the struggling students, I send out emails to them. It depends on the age. I'm assuming it's college based, right? Because syllabus is college, right? University age.
This is syllabus. We have syllabus across all levels. Like class 1 has its own syllabus. Class 2 has it's like a curriculum.
So it's okay. So it's a little bit different for us. Typically, like the syllabus that I'm it's usually like universities. Okay, so it's this. You're presenting the syllabus to your class. I guess can there be more information with it? What age? Because it's very general.
See, what we need to understand over here probably is that we do have syllabus, right? But then we have internal examinations. Schools have internal examinations till class 8. Class 9th onwards is an external exam. That's where the child has to appear for an external examination. So that is where I think it becomes more essential for the child to have the syllabus completed. But yes, with primary, you can get in coordination with the school, talk about this struggling child with the parent, with the school, and probably you may have provision for that, depending upon if the school provides that kind of a policy wherein you can have provision for these kind of children. But yes, with schools who do not have provisions, you need to have these children probably diagnosed if this is really a special need that needs to be catered, or it's just the child is a bit slow, because that bit slow is going to struggle a little bit onto the pace. You need just to provide more strategy to the classroom and the child will get the pace of the classroom. But if it is a bigger deal, then you need to get the diagnosis done. In that case, the school has to barge in with the policy and everything and create provisions properly. If that is how it works with you also, Kadi, over there?
It's a little bit different with that. And I'm not so familiar because I'm really, the grades and the ages that I'm working with are really 2 till about 12. And it's not so much really, I'm not really in that system of knowing that aspect so well, because I'm more like the university level, but I'm familiar with the basic when it comes to the reading or the writing or like the language part of it when it's being taught. But more than that,
so it's more about skills.
Yeah, it's more about the skills and less about like that standardization like piece with it.
Exactly. That is something still is going to be discussed in our conference, that are we really focusing on skills, or why we say that this education system is only working for 1% student and not for the rest 99. So this is still supposed to be taken on in the conference very soon. So let's hold our horses over here and we'll get back to that one and probably, conclude something out of it and see where we are going wrong, because it is again, like Kani said, it has to be a skill-based learning and not just a syllabus, because syllabus
I'm not familiar with it. Because when to like my training is a lot of like activity and skill based. It's a lot of like activity analysis. If you're going to present me an activity of like learning to tie your shoes, I can tell you how to make it simplified and how to make it more complex. When it comes to like the logistics of like standardization, or like when it comes to like the different testing or the different things, I'm really not so familiar with.
Exactly. Like somebody has mentioned that the syllabus pressure can be minimized. And as again, like Kani also mentioned that, you need to understand the fact that all that syllabus is for developing some kind of a skill. So if you make it simplify and focus on the skill, automatically you will not be worried about the syllabus itself, because there are certain things which the child is going to acquire with the passage of time. But yes, if there is a specific skill that needs to be developed at a particular age, that is what you need to focus more on.
Yeah, it's that foundational piece of it, like
Exactly.
for children, learning to read, learning to write, and teaching it in different ways. So let's say if you're teaching a child to learn to write, yes, you're going to maybe have a chalkboard and you're going to write the letters on the board. You're going to have a workbook 100%. Yeah, you can also bring in like Play-Doh, and you're going to make little shapes with the Play-Doh pieces. You can also bring in like sand, and then you're going to have the child draw with sand or salt. Like it's that piece of creating that foundational skill to be able to learn how to be able to write the basic letters.
Exactly. So it's again foundational skills that you need to be working, because it's primary levels that she's talking about. And we are also talking about somewhat the primary levels. Make sure that you're working on the skills. You're focusing on the skills. As far as the content is concerned, the child is going to take it on if the skill is developed. Yes, skill-based learning can be blended in curriculum from foundation level. Exactly, Faika. That's what we were talking about. That yes, skills need to be focused, and this is what we need to be working on the primary level, particularly in the primary level, because that's where the child starts to read, to write, to to listen, to speak. And it's the language that needs to be developing. It's the concept that needs to be working. The concept that the child needs to understand. And that will happen only if the language strands are developed well. So
and it's
yes,
like
that's very true.
it's planting that seed 0 to 7. That's the foundational age. And as much as we can, like experiential, like hands-on opportunity, because children, the younger the child is, the more sponge-like and the more neuroplasticity. So that's why I'm so for like that hands-on, experiential, different learning modalities, finding out what the child's learning need is. That's like that foundational. Once they're past the age of 7, it's not to say that you're not able to, you can, but it does get harder as the child does age. So anyone that is working with those younger children, really offering that experiential, that hands-on, maybe even that practical, but more of like that sensory, the auditory, the tactile, the touch, the just like bringing learning to life and like story and storytelling. That's the age for those kiddos.
Experiential learning again is something that's very close to my heart, and I've been training a lot of teachers on experiential learning, because you create experiences, you let them express their feelings about it, and then you ask them what they have learned, and then how is it going to be applied in their real life. That is all what experiential cycle is all about. You need to make them experience something, ask them out what their feelings are, then let them conceptualize what they've got out of it, and then finally how is it going to be useful in their life. So there's one more question over here which says how do we handle different moods or behaviors of our kids during study? And secondly, please tell me about activity learning skills for students, how to increase our students' skill, how to improve reading and written skills, writing skills.
Okay.
There are too many things here.
So there's two parts to the question there. The first part of the question was
how do we handle different moods or behaviors of the kids during the study?
Okay, so I would say different moods and different behaviors during class and during study. First, check in with yourself and what is your mood like. The students are out and about and they're grumpy, they're hungry, they're tired, they're lonely. What is your mood before you decide anything, before you say anything to that one student or the student? Check in with yourself and pause. Am I experiencing upset, anger, frustration? Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired?
I remember that one. Halt.
Halt. That's my key thing.
Yes.
What am I experiencing? Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired as the teacher? And then check in with the student. Where is this behavior coming from? Is it coming from that the information is too hard? Is the information too easy? Is the class sitting for a long time? They do potentially need a little movement minute break, brain break, or potentially is does the student need to, maybe the student, you're going to have the student do a little bit of an errand, like, okay, please go to the office. And if you can please go get some papers, or if you can please go and get the snacks for the class, or whatever it may be. So it's like really discerning first and utmost myself as the teacher. I'm like creating the vibrational energy in the classroom, what's going on with me, and then maybe discerning in this dance of what's going on with that one student or the class. And maybe I need to shift the energy of the information that's being presented. And maybe the teacher needs to ask the assistant, like, can you take over for a moment? I need to shift my energy and I need to go to the bathroom, because it has nothing really to do with the students. I just really need the bathroom, or something happened that morning and it's having an impact on how I'm teaching during the day.
Okay, because of you, I earlier also I have been looking into the Maslow's theory, wherein it says that your basic
Yes.
needs should be completed first, and then you need love and care, and then you need the security, and then you need the self-esteem, and then finally you reach to the self-actualization level. So keeping that thing in mind, it connects with the halt as well. When if you're hungry, you're angry, you're lonely, and you're tired, you're not ready to study, and that's very natural thing to happen. So yes, it's very right. If you see that the child is creating disruptions, that means the child is disturbed somewhere. We need, similarly to our own selves, that we know our responsibilities, but we are not doing it. Why are we not doing it? Probably we are hungry, probably we are angry, probably we are not a lot tired, and probably we are feeling a lot lonely. So in that case, we need to figure out that, and we need to figure out the solution of that one first. Leave the whatever we are trying to do for some time, solve the problem that we have, and then get back to it. So I think that refreshes us all more to be able to do that certain task. Similarly can be the case with the child. It's very true. I connect with that. Okay. There is one more question, last question we're going to take, and we are done. Okay. This is a long question though. In countries like Pakistan, all parents want their kid to be a doctor or an engineer. That was somewhere in the past, Afshal. It's not the case anymore, I believe. Okay, but let's take it furthermore. So it's like we want our kids to be either doctor or engineer in future, but our education level is not as good. We don't want our kids to be doctors anymore, because there are only 400 seats for doctors, and we have 8,000 students opting for doctorate. So that becomes a complete failure for our system. Okay. So then one of the problem is language. Our curriculum based on English, and students could not express their concepts clearly on the language, maybe probably.
I would say,
how can I improve my student, as I'm a biology teacher and not an English teacher? Tell any strategy to improve such students. Okay, what's happening is the students are not able to grasp the concept because their language is not good. Now, she's a biology teacher. She cannot bridge in the gap that the language has brought in the child, but she still has to teach the language, the subject that she's supposed to be teaching.
Yeah.
So there's a gap.
I was about to say that, going back to the foundation, is there any way for her to bring in, as part of her class, connecting the dots a little bit and creating that bridge? And I think someone just wrote a really great thing here, increasing their subject vocabulary. So I wonder, like, bridging that gap with some of the terms and working on like sounds, pronunciation of the word. Let's say if it's photosynthesis, or if it's related to, I don't know, whatever it's related to. It's bridging that gap with that vocabulary piece, and teaching the grammar and teaching the spelling as it does relate to the content, and creating that foundation within that and within the class.
Agree. Totally agree that you need to be bridging the gap, work on the foundational, again, vocabulary that is required to understand the concept. So try building on the vocabulary. Automatically, students may acquire the language with the passage of time, and they may be able to explore opportunities for themselves to solve whatever problems they have been facing in the past in terms of language. So yes, they do acquire. It is not the language that I knew it from my birth as well. It is the language which is our second language, and in some cases it's also a third language for the child. So in that case, yes, it will take a longer time as compared to somebody who's living in a native country where the language is the English is the first language. So definitely it's going to take a longer time. All we need to do is provide as much support as possible, give them that environment where they are able to acquire the language. I have seen teachers switching the code just because the students are not able to understand. A big no to this. The child will acquire only if you provide that environment to the child. Have that discussion. There are a number of people sitting over here who may not understand me or who may not speak much fluently, but they are able to listen to me and grasp a little bit of what I'm trying to say. So that still is giving them some meaning. I am still trying to create that environment. This is what you need to do in your classroom as well. So yes, that brings us towards yes, I agree, reading habit is very important. We need to develop the habits. We need to develop reading habits. The all four strands. I'm not just going to focus on reading. We need to be developing their listening, exposition as well. We need to working on their, speaking abilities as well. We need to make sure that we provide them opportunities at least to speak a line or two. That is also, I know it may create a cognitive load for some time, but yes, they'll be able to, analyze where they speak rightly and where they go wrong and eventually fix where they go wrong. So yes, only giving them opportunity is very important. I have been a very big time struggler for language as well, because I've lived in US for good 5 years. So, it was a big time transition. Nobody understands my language over there. But here I am. I acquired the language. So everybody can.
We all have the ability to do so. And sometimes like our system is overloaded and there's processing and there's things that's happening. I can speak I can speak 2 other languages and I can read 3 languages.
Now we need to teach you Urdu.
Yes, that's my next language. I would love to learn.
So the first thing that we're going to teach Kani today is Urdu. There's at least, do you know anything otherwise in Urdu?
I think I do know a few words. I think I know hello and goodbye.
So say it. So hello is not hello in Urdu, okay? How do you say it in Urdu?
Is it like salam alaikum?
That is greetings, yes. Assalamu alaikum, yes, that's greetings. Okay.
Yes, that's what I know.
Okay. So how are you is aap kaise hai?
Aap kaise hai?
Kaise hai?
Aap kaise hai?
That's a formal how are you?
Aap kaise hai?
Yes, aap kaise hai? So that's a good start. So see, we can make her acquire the language. Why can't we make our own children acquire the language we know? Yes. So thank you so much, Kani, for joining in over here. And we're going to end our keynote over here. It was brilliant. And I hope you're going to be attending the entire event.
As best as I can. I will try to pop in and join in. I'm just so humbled, so grateful. Thank you so much. And I'm wishing you and everyone and the team have a beautiful rest of the evening to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to have her over here, and hope we are going to have a very great journey throughout. I hope someday Kani is going to visit us in Pakistan, and we're going to show her around that we have a lot of lovely people over here, and we have been working, very hard to bridge all sorts of gaps that we have in our education system. And this is one of the evidence wherein people are joining in over here on Zoom. We have more than 94 people, and on YouTube also I can see more than 200 people sitting and joining us on this platform. And I know there are a number of people who were not able to join in are going to watch the video later on, because it's going to be available on YouTube for people to watch. So thank you so much, Kani. And with that, we actually end this conversation, but begin the conference. So thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.